Hello, welcome back to the class. Today we'll be creating textured animation. Again, there's nothing for you guys to download it, so just make sure you open up the After Effects and let us get started. So first thing first, we'll go ahead and create a new composition. Composition name, we'll call it texture animation. We'll keep it to 1280 by 720 square pixel. Frame rate 30, full, and duration 5 seconds. And we'll say click OK to confirm. Once you have this composition, we're going to go ahead and create a mountain along with this shape. We'll use the ellipse tool. We'll choose the color. Stroke, we'll go to the stroke option, say none. I'll create a nice oval. Use the selection tool, move it over here. This, we'll right click, rename it MT01. Along with that, we want to create a texture at the top. So deselect everything by selecting the empty area. Go to the pen tool, click, and we'll just go ahead and select just the top portion of that. That should be on the new layer. We'll call this, right click, rename, texture 01. We'll choose the color of the texture that it is going to be. I'll choose white for now. And on the bottom left hand corner, these two icons should be checked. So we now have the option for the blending mode. We'll choose dissolve. We'll go to the effects and preset. We'll find fast blur. It needs to be fast box blur. There you go. Double click on it and we'll increase the blur radius until we'll see enough of that particular shape. Alright, we'll go ahead and duplicate MT01, Command D or Control D. We'll put the duplicate one underneath. We'll rename this MT01 shape. So we have texture, we have MT01 shape. Shape is the one that we're keeping it on, but just for the practice purpose, we'll turn it off. Make sure texture is sitting on top of the MT01. We'll go to the track matting, click on the node track matte, hook it to MT01. So that white that we chose here for the texture will only show on the shape inside the MT01. We'll go ahead and turn on the MT01 shape, and now we have this particular shape. If you need to go to the color to change it, click on the texture, go to the fill. Let's go ahead and change the color. I'm gonna go change the color as it is, like that. And go to the parent and link. I'm going to use this pick whip, hook the texture 01 to MT01, hook the MT01 to MT01 shape. And we can lock those two layers. Wherever the MT01 shape moves, everything moves along with it. This, now we can go ahead, P for the position. Make sure your time indicator is all the way at the beginning. Keyframe this one and put it underneath. Go to 2 seconds, we'll bring this one up a little like that. And we now have a nice solid animation. Cool. So since we have that, why don't we go ahead and create one more? In this case, we're just going to duplicate all these. So unlock these, select everything, Control D or Command D on the window, bring this all the way at the top. Again, we need to hook this one up once more. Track map 2, there needs to be empty O2. This one, again, hook it again. We need to rehook it. Open this one up. Open the keyframes by hitting E on your keyboard. We'll bring this one to the right hand side this time. Go on top of this keyframe to fix it. We'll hit S with the scale to increase this one. And I'll change the color of this texture. Nice. I actually want this to come out a bit slower, so I'll offset the keyframes. Nice. Alright. I want some sort of the ball bounce, 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 and out. So we'll go ahead and use the ellipse tool. Again, deselect everything. Click and drag to make a new shape. Right click. We'll just call this circle. This circle will again put the textures along with it. Let's go to the pen tool. Right now we're selecting the circle, so make sure you deselect it. And then we'll just go ahead and create particular shapes like that. I'll first change the color to be white, or a little bit similar to the white. And again, we'll rename that to be circle texture. We'll duplicate the circle, put it underneath. We'll call this circle shape. Circle texture needs to be dissolve, fast box blur, put it to roughly about, I'll say 26, and this we can actually move it a little bit so that the texture is not overwhelming too much. Okay. Alright, and then we'll track map the circle texture to circle, and parent whip the circle texture to the circle and circle to the circle shape, and we can lock those two. And wherever the circle shape moves, everything moves. We now have that anchor point over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that anchor point by clicking onto the pen behind tool, click and drag it, put it at the center of the circle. Hit P for the position, keyframe it at the beginning of the timeline. Using this selection tool, we'll bring this one out. Go to the 1 second, roughly about. We'll make this one bounce. And then we'll bounce it off. And as it comes in, we want this to bounce one more. And then bring this one out. And let's just see how the basic it looks. We have this and this here. It seems like this is happening a bit too slow. So what we're going to do is select all the keyframe, bring it closer, because closer it is, faster the animation is. Hit spacebar. This one too, we can make this one shorter. And again, we'll add some attributes like that, couple frames forward. We want to bring this one a little bit like an arc. We want this to move a little bit faster, like that. Put some hold keyframes in between. Again, this, we can hold it, bring it to the previous one a little bit. Here, again, we want this to bring a little bit up, bring a little bit up. As it moves down, we want this to come in a little bit faster, like that. Again, we're putting extra keyframes to make a nice anticipation. And bring this forward a little bit faster. And we want to have some anticipation in between, so let's go ahead and select all those. Have some areas in between. We want to be a bit more bouncy. Again, this, I think we can put a bit more of the space in between. And from here, this is just all about the fine adjustments. And this, you can click onto the individual keyframes, which is the rectangle or the square dot over here. You can change the anchor. Click, and you can change the anchor. You can make it so that you can change how animation behaves from one position to the other one, like that. I just want to create a bit more of the dropping shape. And I noticed there's a bit weird jump right there. This one, so I can go ahead and move this one, adjust that, bring this one inside like that. Have the other side of the handle shorter. This one too has this weird handle that's just touching each other that are not really helping, so I can go ahead and change that. This one here too, we don't want it to be weird, so we'll just try to shorten the center one and bring the other ones a bit closer and make a nice arc. Alright, let's go ahead and see how it actually looks. Okay, now it feels a bit more tacky, and that's the kind of the characteristic that we want to have it. Alright, let's go ahead and layer new solid. We're just going to put some background, put it all the way at the back. Just like how we have all these textures here, we want to apply the textures in the background. We'll go ahead and again deselect it. Using the rectangle tool, we'll put white for that, and then we'll put this one all the way at the bottom. We'll call this background texture. We'll put that into dissolve. Again, we'll repeat the same step. That actually looks good. And since it's covering entire background, we don't really need to create a duplicate copy of it. And let's see how this one looks. Cool. Alright, and now overall environment, it kind of looks like it's snowing. So what we're gonna do is layer new, solid, we'll choose white color, and we'll rename this one to snow. Click OK. Make sure this sits all the way at the top, and we can just type snow, and there's actually a simulation called CC snowfall. Double click on that, and you can have the color to whatever you like to have it and change all those. But notice the white doesn't really show through because of the transfer mode and everything else. So here's what we can actually do. We'll turn it off, and let's try with a different color. Layer new, solid. How about we try black? Again, we'll call this snow black. We'll just put BK. Again, we'll put the same CC snow, and I'll just go in and zoom in so we can actually see, and we now can actually see those. We can change the size, we can change the spread, and we can put some variations for the winds, and we'll see how this one actually plays. I think that's pretty cool. So this original snow with the white, we can actually get rid of it. With the snow black, that's how it looks. We can go ahead and change the blending mode to either lighten or screen. Let's go ahead and choose a screen. Screen hides all the darker parts and only reveals the lighter parts. And that's how it looks. And from here, let's go ahead and change the colors to green and see how that green actually shows through, which we can't really see it. So let's go ahead and increase opacity. And then change the color. Should be able to see it a little bit better. Nice. This white background over here, that's a little bit too much. So let's go ahead and lower the opacity. Hit T for the opacity. Let's bring it down to 50%. And see how the overall snow interacts with that. Awesome. Alright, so once we have everything up until here, you can go ahead and render this file. And again, if you have any other question, feel free to reach me out, and I'll see you guys in the next class. Take care.